Welcome to the Steens Mountains in southeastern Oregon, the heart of Mustang country. Over the next 45 minutes, we will be sharing with you the experience of the Kiger Mustangs which inhabit the northern end of the Steens Mountains. The Kiger Mustangs was discovered back in the mid-70s by two BLM employees from Burns, Oregon, Ron Harding and Bill Phillips, during a routine gathering of the desert country south of the Steens Mountains. When the horses arrived at the corrals, they knew they had something unique, with the line down their back and the dun factor and the zebra stripes on their legs. And so they relocated the animals here in the northern part of the Steens Mountains in the isolated reaches near the Kiger Gorge. This is where they currently inhabit and share the environment with the complex ecosystem that the Steens Mountain has to offer. The Steens Mountains is approximately 80 miles long and 30 miles wide, and it was created during a major uplift millions of years ago. Subsequent to that uplifting, glaciation occurred, which resulted in 5 major gorges, which traverse the heart of the Steens Mountains. The Kiger Gorge is the most prominent and the most popular. However, Little Blitzen Gorge, Big Indian, Little Indian, and Wild Horse offer their own spectacular views and experience. Wild Horse Canyon begins with a cirque lake at the head of the gorge itself. There's a trailhead taking off of the east summit and going down to the Wild Horse Lake itself. It's a popular backpacking as well as horseback trip into a real pristine and isolated piece of the world. The Steens Mountain, due to its elevation, has a short season. Usually it opens up sometime in late June, and the season terminates in normally early November. The aspen is one of the highlights of the Steens Mountains with all its yellow, gold, and crimson colors. Now that we have experienced the mountain, let's begin the Kiger Mustang story.
You all know why we're here, and it's a very special occasion. We're here to dedicate this viewing area right in the heart of the Kiger Mustang wild herd management area, just on the north end of the Steens, about 55 miles south of Burns in Harney County, Oregon. And before we get into the actual presentations, I want to acknowledge some people that's here. We have Bill Lusher, who is on the agenda. He's the state director of Oregon, and his lovely wife Kate are here. Bill, would you raise your hand? And then we have John Boyles. He's the chief of the Wild Horse Bureau program for the entire bureau back in Washington, D.C. He came out to represent the director. Good to have you here, John. We have Rick and Judy Littleton. He's the president of the Kiger Mustang Association, commonly known as KMA.
I'm sure everyone here is probably aware of how contentious the wild horse program has been. I'm not here to talk about that because I'm here to talk about what I think I see, and that's a beginning. Really a beginning of wild horse management. It's been something like 450 years plus since the horse was reintroduced to the North American continent. Certainly it's been one of the most, he's not had a time to rest, I don't think, at all in those 460 years. There was a country that needed to be explored, and it needed to be settled. There were people to be transported to the west, wagons to be hauled to the west. There was plows to be pulled on the prairie. There were wars to be fought, the Civil War and a couple of world wars, and he has been involved in all of those. And since gradually we've become mechanized to some extent, we haven't had quite the need for the horse that we had in our years past. But certainly the horse continues to serve us today, at least in a recreational mode, and he's still a workhorse. You see him for pleasure rodeos. You see him endurance ride and many other types of flat racing and a few others. So the horses really, I think, deserved a rest. And the Wild Horse program tends to want to honor that horse. We want to come out here, and I think if Wild Horse Annie were alive today, I think she'd be very proud of what's happening out here. It's quite an event when you think about an area where people can come to see a horse at rest and at peace. You can look out, and many people are going to come. Some are going to see the horse that they knew that they rode as a child. Some are going to come out and see the horse that they have read about and seen in movies with the flowing manes and the flowing tails as he galloped across this country. Some are going to come out here and see their companion that did so much work with them along mending fences and herding cattle, cutting cattle. Some are going to come out here and see a horse and nothing more. But I think it's important that each one of them sees what they want to see. And I think it's important that we preserve that part of our heritage.
Some of the more prominent native wildlife that share the habitat of the Kiger Mustang are antelope, mule deer, sage grouse, elk, and bighorn in the more craggy, rocky retreats of the mountain. All these animals also share the mountain for forage, water, and cover with livestock, and under proper management there is room for all. The Kiger Mustangs are a distinct animal. They carry common color characteristics of which, once they are encountered in the wild, you will know what you have. Mustang, so named back in the early 70s, was the founding stud that was released from the desert into the Kiger country on the Steens. He is still out there, as proud as ever, with a small band of mares and colts. And if you're fortunate, you may encounter him in his native haunt. Gathering operations have become quite sophisticated since the old Mustanger days. Due to rough and broken terrain, the use of helicopters, along with buckaroos, is essential to not only the efficiencies of the gathering, but the well-being of the horse. Often the buckaroos use a haltered prather or Judas horse, which is trained to lead the wild ones into the mouth of the trap. He definitely earns his keep. So let us share with you the Kiger gathering and the horse's first physical encounter with man. The next encounter is not expected for 5 years. No, that's a cute coat. Huh?
Well, we have management plans written for these herds, and of course in the management plans we develop, we stipulate what we want to manage for, and of course historically we have various kinds of horses on the various herds, and we try to keep that perpetuated. Some of the herds, like what we call our Warm Springs herd, which is just south of Burns near the Jack Mountain area, we have a lot of Appaloosas, so we have that in our plan. And then of course we have Palomino Buttes, and we try to keep some Palominos there, and then we have a little special herd of what we call the Kiger Mustangs, what we feel is probably one of the better examples of the Spanish type Mustang that exists in the wild today.